You meet with a client, I think there's basically 4 stages to the interview. Now we have discovery, and then from there we go problem, and then we're going to go solutions, and then we call it implementation. In the discovery process, all the things that we're talking about right now are in the discovery process. We're just trying to figure out what it is that we're trying to get here. We're getting all the data. We're trying to find out as much as we can. We're building rapport. We're doing all those things. Once we have all the data done, do we need to go back to this? The answer is no, of course not. So what we want to do is we want to get that totally and completely done. Now, here's the key. Before we go from there to here, we try to be very, very careful that we're not bouncing back and forth all the time. So I really try to be very, very careful that I'm covering this completely, getting all the information I possibly can. Because if I can get all the information, then it's going to make it relatively simple for me to figure out what the problems are. Because in the problems, we're going to talk about goals. We're going to really talk about vision more than anything. Because I want to know where they want to go. But vision, goals, objectives, all that stuff is done here in the second stage. Now, once we have all of that established, and everybody agrees that those are the issues, then I say, okay, let me have some time to put together some recommendations for you. Having said all of this, again, I come back to something I said at the very outset of our meeting this morning. If somebody comes to me and they say, hey, Don, I want to buy $1 million worth of life insurance, what do? I sell $1 million worth of life insurance, then we move on. We then prioritize those issues. And we do that before we ever get over here. Because if you do this correctly, then you don't have to spend that much time on presenting your recommendations because they're going to be pretty obvious. And then once you do the recommendations and you've got all that done, implementation should not take hardly any time at all. If they haven't already bought in, then you skipped something up here. You missed a step somewhere. Because if you are getting objections, which really are requests for reassurances, then you need to go back to the first step, identify what it is that we're dealing with. What did we miss in discovery? What did we miss in objections? What did we miss in prioritization? What did we miss? Because if we're missing something, I need your help. People ask me all the time, they say, well, Don, what's your closing rate? My closing rate, best I can figure, is pretty close to 100%. Because typically we're not going to get to the close unless everybody's ready to go there. But most people that I don't close, it's because I never get to the close because I never can. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm never given the permission to get to that stage. Again, I come back to this issue of you've got to do your job completely in each stage before you go to the next stage. So you're effectively locking out that door and going from there.